Did you hear Tchiroma today say that some military loyalists actually saved him from a possible kidnap or an attack or something, and he's safe with them?
Yes, I heard that, and I was a little bit scared.
Why? Why were you scared?
I was scared because what parameters did he use to know that these people who supposedly took him to safety are actually loyal to him? There could be people who are actually loyal to the regime and are just playing with time. The same thing that happened with Naira 10. None of us ever knew that this was going to happen. It happened anyway. Even when a court in Nigeria declared that what happened was illegal and that people were supposed to be returned, up to date, nothing has happened. They have been sentenced anyway. So, in as much as that could sound like good news, I was still skeptical. Anybody who has known what the regime is capable of should already know that everything is possible.
My people of the United Kingdoms of Tikar, Bamenda Highlands, you've heard that Issa Tchiroma Bakari was almost kidnapped and some loyalist soldiers took him to safety. And there is news in the community that there is a plan for Issa Tchiroma Bakari to take an oath of office. He has declared a ghost town as well. 3 days ghost town. And the idea was Issa Tchiroma Bakari had a plan. He said he's coming from that regime, and so he has a plan to defeat that regime. That is why most people went out to vote for him. And so I call that the illusion of change in Cameroon. Now let's think for a minute. Have you thought about it? Maybe that regime sent Issa Tchiroma Bakari to distract everybody here. And there was no one better to do that job than Issa Tchiroma Bakari. To distract, including the so-called Ambazonians. And he used the basic scapegoating strategy. And it worked. Look at the entire social media space. It worked. Think about it. In 2018, when Maurice Kamto declared himself president, almost 6 people were wounded. He was locked up in prison for a long time. I think 9 months. And then about 6 people are dead right now. Issa Tchiroma did the same thing Maurice Kamto did in 2018. Because these people are not thinking. Right? What Maurice Kamto did, the same thing Ninjom Funzi, the leader of the SDF party, a bookseller, in 92, when he won the election, declared himself president, called for ghost towns, the same thing. What have you seen these people do that is really different from what Ninjom Funzi did in 92? Now, this is what you should notice. If Issa Tchiroma Bakari really had a plan, we will not be worried on social media. Because he will tell all of us to calm down. I have everything under control because I understand that regime. So I have everything under control. The behavior of Issa Tchiroma Bakari tells us that government itself doesn't have a plan, because that is a 3 to 5 years reactionary government. People have been in power for 43 years, yet they only have a 3 to 5 year plan, max, in Cameroon. If that government even had something going on, we would have seen Issa Tchiroma acting in a way that indicates there was a plan to call for ghost town. We've seen that. Ambazonians have been doing that. There is nothing new. So when I heard his campaign speech initially, I'm like, what is going on? And those who said, oh, something has come up that the country can unite and do something amazing. I mean, you are an enemy to progress. Hold on. What kind of change are you seeking? Those who are claiming that they want change in Cameroon, you don't want change. You want blood. You want people to die. I showed up after my relative was kidnapped with a 20 years economic plan. Just the title of this book is more than Issa Tchiroma Bakari's campaign speech, The Cameroon Dream. That every Cameroonian can dream big and build something with their life. Let me read the subtitle. And I wrote this book in both English and French. Le rêve camerounais. You can't beat this. And here's the subtitle. How to achieve national peace, unity, freedom, and prosperity for all Cameroonians. And the other subtitle says, great people make a great nation. And this book encapsulates that plan. I haven't seen this. The Cameroon Dream, you can't beat this. You never supported this. I went on every major media outlet in the country that I could access. Most of you did not share even one post. We looked at the data afterwards. More than 85% of the people that showed up for change were from the Northwest. This is where I started asking questions. How did these people come together? Tribalistic people everywhere, claiming that you want change. Let's unite now. On what? What did Issa Tchiroma Bakari present that inspired you to want to do better for your life? What did he say? You want blood. You want confusion. Some tell me I'm tribalistic. I wrote a book for the entire country. Even after my own relative was kidnapped. I didn't show up here with anger. And anyone from the Amazonian camp that is clamoring Issa Tchiroma Bakari, you guys really have to explain to us the thousands of people that have lost their lives. And what was it all about? If Issa Tchiroma Bakari was sent by that government, now they've figured out that you all are not serious about the mission you claim you stood for. People that are grounded in who they are the ones who change the world. You know, that old adage that if you're taking a bath and a madman picks your cloth and you are running after that madman, now we have two mad people. You're on a mission, somebody shows up with their own idea or agenda and you abandon everything and you're running after them. This is not us. Something went wrong. I don't know, but something is off somewhere. And those who are claiming that France is manipulating everything in this country, I want you to listen to this. Because this is another old conspiracy theory that has been in our community for years, for decades. People don't want to take responsibility for their lives. They want to be divided, disorganized, and then turn around, look for a scapegoat. Issa Tchiroma used the scapegoating strategy. And this is something that has been used for thousands of years. And I said, if you think that Issa Tchiroma Bakari can take down Paul Biya and Paul Biya is the problem, then you don't really understand the problem here. Because what the young people are saying is, we are experiencing marginalization in every Francophone circle we go into. We don't get the jobs that we deserve in every close circle that we go into. Abroad, we have Francophones who say Cameroon is a French-speaking country, not a bilingual country. And I'm like, we got to educate them because they don't know. Issa Tchiroma Bakari doesn't understand the history of this country. That's why he called you cessationist. Issa Tchiroma Bakari calls you cessationist because he doesn't understand the history of this country. I think we should be doing our outings and educating the public more than holding opinions. We educate that this is what this country is all about so that others get to learn. Every social media platform with the intention to engage the Francophone community should be educating them on the history of this country, not spreading conspiracy theories about France manipulating the elections in Cameroon, France choosing who will become president in Cameroon. Now, I want you to listen to this video. Pay attention to this video. You will see through this video that France doesn't control Cameroon. America doesn't control Cameroon. The people in Cameroon are responsible for their destiny. And they choose to listen to the wrong people, and they are emotionally driven. Take a listen.
View on contested elections and the opposition candidate being sworn in before the person allegedly official winner being sworn in.
Of course, Chris, as an international observer, I cannot, give advice on that. But of course,
Your
the big
opinion,
question.
One thing you observe is he refuses to give advice on what Chris Anu was asking. This is what happens even when Paul Biya approaches France. They know that they could be held liable for giving an advice on how to go about your country. Our people would turn this around and come back into the community and still tell you France controls everything, America controls everything. This is Timo Nagy refusing to give an advice. You listen, he did that a couple of times in this video. But many others will just listen to it if they feel good about it, but pay attention to the details. Now, keep listening.
Opinion.
Oh, my opinion is that.
So in other words, you would be advocating for a support of the people where the people consider the government not to be legitimate.
Yes, I would. Now, I do not speak for the United States government. Remember
Of course.
that.
This is how these people speak. They know. You've heard it the second time. France doesn't get involved in the business of Cameroonians. If France did, they would have told Amadou Ahidjo to ratify a union treaty with the Anglophones in 1961. They can help based on what these leaders ask. Like if you've heard about the UPC crisis, Amadou Ahidjo had to ask France for help. They will not tell you what to do, so that you get to take responsibility for your actions over your people and over your country. They know this well, and they won't make that mistake now. And that is empowering all by itself. It is easy to blame somebody else so that you can go to bed at night and sleep in peace. Doesn't it feel good going to bed at night knowing someone else is responsible for your problems? This is what the UN Charter says on bilateral relationships. Article 2, Section 1 of the UN Charter says, all states are sovereign and equal. Article 2, Paragraph 4 says, it prohibits the threat or use of force against the political independence of any state. That is Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the UN Charter. Article 2, Paragraph 7 says it forbids intervention in matters which are essentially within the domestic jurisdiction of any state. They've never read this to you. Again, let me read it so you get it. We are talking about international law when we want the foreign nations to come solve the Amazonian crisis. Let me read international law when it has to do with bilateral relationship between states. Article 2:1 says all states are sovereign and equal. 2 paragraph 4 says it prohibits the threat or use of force against the political independence of any state. We will have to fix our problem here and stop looking at outsiders for help. They deny to give you even advice. You insist. See, Chris Ano is begging that man to say something. And you hear that throughout this video. And when they come in now, they give you terms and conditions. You're trapped with contracts. Very soon you turn around tomorrow and blame those outsiders. He's doing the same thing. I'm here with all these ideas. They don't reach out for help. And whatever that man is saying, I've said things here that are better than what that man has said. Because I understand our problem better than that man. He will visit, but he's not us. But yet he's trying his best. But words coming out of his mouth sounds better in the ears of our people than their own. So, Article 2, paragraph 7 forbids intervention in matters which are essentially within the domestic jurisdiction of any state. That is the UN Charter on bilateral relationships. International law.
Yeah.
But I have you can only have one winner. So the situation is extremely difficult, especially from the point of view of outsiders, because at the end of the day, this is something that has to be settled by Cameroon.
Because at the end of the day, this is something that Cameroonians will have to solve all by themselves. These foreign nations put the responsibility, 100% responsibility in your hands. And they do it legally. No foreign nation will ever be blamed for what goes on in Cameroon. Even if they get involved, they structure it so well that the ideas come out of your leaders, not them. Since our people don't understand international law, don't understand how bilateral relationships work, diplomatic relationships work, don't understand at least 5,000 years of human history, we will go on to dabble around with these colonial territories and think that we can just blame Western nations and then something will change. Nothing will change. He puts the ball back into your court. Every time you try to move it over there, they bring it back to you. Let's keep listening.
Well, you talk about Cameroon. Cameroon is Biya's. He owns every institution there. He manages everything, and which is why you see Cameroonians get very frustrated, taking to the street, destroying property. And when you have a situation where there is absolutely no avenue for redress, because you go to the courts, he appoints the judges. There is no institution you can go to in Cameroon for redress. So why don't you see a situation where the West comes in and say, all right,
isn't that him saying the West comes in? Is it the West telling you that they want to come in? No. Let's unite in our community. No. And then when Chris Ano was stepping down, oh, we are divided. Unity should be a good thing that we desire. No, but that was not what he wanted initially. When this man proposed the same thing, now he's calling on him to come in. Now, if they come in and give you some policies or terms based on their help, you'll be stuck with that contract. And you have to fulfill your obligations. And if that is hurting your people, you will start blaming Western nations again. what I have provided on this platform and what I understand about our problem. For those who claim that this was tribalism, I started with the entire nation. But some people are focused on where this person is coming from before they receive an idea. Is he a francophone or an anglophone? There was someone here that used to admire my videos, thinking I was a francophone. When they realized that I was from Bamenda, they back off. I mean, it's insane. Do you understand what I'm saying? And now they say it is one united Cameroon. We are one. Nobody should divide this country. But where you come from will determine if they will take a good idea that will bring about transformation for everybody here. I brought people from every corner. There was no discrimination. My heart was open to serve and see this country become better. 20 years economic plan. At the end of the day, the question we all should be asking, what do you want? You want jobs, fair? You want good schools, you want good roads. That is what this economic plan would have brought. And if the people can come together for anything, petition the government for change, this is what you would have petitioned the government for. I brought strategies on how the private and the public sector can work together. Even how children can be raised, that we have a prosperous and sustainable community. In this book, in English and French. You want change? Who are you fooling? You know that if you stand up against Paul Biya with guns, we will end up with bloodshed. But if there is a vision, in the process of executing that vision, people are inspired by that vision. People go out because of that vision. And then whatever challenge they face, that is a different story. To get up and the entire idea is that we bring down Paul Biya, brother, nah. Even God doesn't operate that way. This is how life is, my brothers. This thing is so easy. This thing is so easy. I don't know why many people miss it. You get up every day, get into your car, you're driving to work. You're going somewhere. Your goal is not to fight someone. Your mission is to get to work safe. Now, there might be a drunk driver on the way trying to bump into you. You look for a way to navigate that situation. Your goal was not that you're planning for that drunk driver to bump into you, but to get to work safe. But you had in your mind that in case someone tries to bump into you, this is how you escape that situation. This is how a military should be designed. This is how force should be designed to guide a vision. Not force all by itself. What will inspire, change, or move a nation forward will always be a vision, not just military strategy. Let's keep listening.
Tchiroma declares himself president and is sworn in by a local judge. And Biya is sworn in Yaoundé and now, but the people are on the side of Tchiroma. Let's do some negotiation. Let's get them to dialogue. Don't you see that scenario?
Yeah, here's the thing. You know, the way you characterized it is the reverse of what it should be. At the end of the day,
is the reverse of what it should be. So if our people just reverse their thinking, they will have a good life. Depending on France, thinking France is controlling you, reverse that thinking. Instead of thinking to go fight Paul Biya alone, no, you go fix the constitution of that country. Have a functioning democratic system here, because what you have there is a kick. Majority win the vote based on people's emotion. That doesn't run any government. America works because it's a country guided by laws and institutions. The people go to vote what was written in those laws. Their emotions and their feelings, if it doesn't align with those laws, the Electoral College decides who becomes president of the United States of America. We don't have that in Cameroon. So the institution failed all of you. Now they want you to be running on the street based on that majority win the vote. America even have the Bill of Rights to protect minority rights against majority tyranny. That is why their political system works. Even though there's still work to be done on the system here in America, but it works. Do you understand? That is where we have to start. Again, what if Issa Tchiroma Bakari was sent by that system to convince all of you using scapegoating and everybody fell for it? The people of the United Kingdoms of Tikar said, observe your regular ghost town. Do not engage in anything that is happening in their country. They will have to wake up to the realization that we mean business. Respect us. Understand that French has failed in every state, even in Haiti. Every country in Africa colonized by France has struggled immensely. To think that Paul Biya and his gang had it in their mind to turn Anglophones into Francophones, that is insanity. Instead of every Francophone trying to become Anglophone, they are instead trying to turn Anglophones to become Francophones. When they will send their children to countries where they can learn how to speak English. When Chinese people, 200 million, are studying English right now so they can do business with the rest of the world. When all the technology that has transformed the 21st century was produced in English-speaking nations. You are here training soldiers, sending them to the Anglophone zones in French to turn the people to become French people. You're a wicked man. You're not only wicked to your people, you're wicked to every inhabitant in this area. You don't trust anyone in that system. Somebody came from a background of transportation and communication in that country. Wants to lead a military movement. And now he's mimicking Maurice Kamto and Injun Frunzi. No clear strategy. Tells you the Pobia regime, that regime doesn't have a plan as well, because if there was a plan that regime had, we would have seen Issa Tchiroma Bakari tackling the regime in a way that you say, oh, wow, something new. Calm down the population and say, we have a plan. We got this under control. Here we are on social media trying to give Issa Tchiroma Bakari ideas on how to challenge the regime. He told us he had the capabilities to challenge that regime.
The country, every country belongs to its people. And then when you have situations where you have a government that's been in place forever, and it starts to think that the government owns the country, and that the people are there to serve the government.
This is exactly what I told us. The people have the country. And they will hear this and say, no, Pobia still owns the country. Some went around saying we don't have sovereignty. Sovereignty is with La République du Cameroon. Sovereignty was with Britain during the trusteeship era. I mean, they believed this and they said it on camera. That sovereignty was with Britain. When Britain had administrative authority given to them by the UN. I mean, we have Anglophones that went around saying we didn't have sovereignty. That word, they don't understand the meaning of the word sovereignty. And they went on to explain how you can even own a land in the Northwest, indigent, born and raised in that land. And they tell you that the sovereignty is with Britain, and they believe that. And they are still talking online. That is why societies can never run on majority. With all these opinions, only wars. will reduce all these voices, and then people show up with real ideas that will structure the society. Because this will not stop. That is why if you see the story of the Ark of Noah, God was tired of hearing opinions everywhere. He took Noah and a few people, put them in the ark, and just let the flood wipe everybody out. And then he brought out these new people and then started something afresh. There are some great people in the United Kingdoms of Tikar that want to do amazing things with their life. God will preserve them. Those with the foolish ideas will go out there, get involved in arm's way. Something will happen so that these people here can be preserved. I said the gods of the Tikar is awake. Not Biya, not Issa, Tchiroma, Bakari, not La Republic du Cameroon will play that game with us. Truth will prevail. I've gone through it all. I started with the one Cameroon. Through studies, not emotion. Not waking up in the morning that I'm hungry, I don't have a job, and I started fighting. No, looking at the situation, listening to the cry of the young men on the ground, looking at how disorganized the Amazonians are and the struggles our people were going through. Took time and research and wrote an economic plan. I didn't show up here with a political plan, an economic plan. 20 years economic plan, that if we do these things, in 20 years our story will change. With love and care for everybody here, regardless of where you come from. People did not accept this. And then you claim you're looking for change. So I left from the idea of the unity based on research, came to the idea of the Amazonian. Based on research, understand what was going on. The incompatibility, the insult between Northwest and Southwest. Come, no go, everywhere. And then I pointed these things out. Some say, oh, you're the one causing division. No, I'm just pointing out what I saw. I repeat this now. You know why? Because they will come and watch this video. What I did not say in this video, they will criticize that in the comment section. And then when I say that in this video, they will wait. The next video I upload without saying this, they come in there to make such comments. Again, there are more than 500 videos I've uploaded on this channel. YouTube is a university for people who want to study. If you want an echo chamber, go to TikTok. That is where you find a group of people that can validate whatever idea you have. And then you go on to execute it, and then you get the consequence of that idea. That is TikTok, echo chamber. Facebook, if you just want entertainment, one phone, you don't want anything too serious, go to Facebook. YouTube, maybe you don't know how social media works, so I'm directing us on that. YouTube is for people who want change. If you spend most of your time on YouTube, you are a nation builder. You are the kind of individual that can build something and bring about change in your society. The world has never worked on majority. I don't know where you get that idea from. Even the constitution of this country was drafted by brilliant men representing every state that came together, wrote what they thought this nation would look like. And so everyone in this country goes to vote to uphold what their representatives, founding fathers, wrote in that constitution. Even the Bible was not written by everyone. God chose specific individuals to put his ideas on paper. We read it, follow those instructions, our life works. There is no election to choose maybe who will write the book. And even the compiling of the Bible, smart people sat together, inspired by God, to compile the 66 books that make up the Bible. Life has always worked this way. Even the houses that you live in, it was not majority win the vote. An architect sat down, drew a plan, had a contractor, they build a house, it works. Majority will come and help in the construction process, but few people sit down and come up with a plan. That works even with a building. Furniture. Everything else in life works that way. You think it's to build a country that everybody's opinion in their little corner will build a country, and you believe that? You have been given the wrong type of democracy in Africa. And that is why you suffer. And if our travel come from the same place and I tell you something you don't listen, keep fooling with yourself. Again, something happens with you, we will bury you and move on. You're not the first here. Life didn't start with you. So calm down. Let's keep listening. You see what happens? They give the power to them. They refuse the power, put it on Paul Biya, put it on Franks, come around on social media, waste your time. That is the story.
Which is totally the reverse of what a normal situation should be like. As we have seen in the Sahel, where you had coups against governments, and that the people came out on the streets actually supporting the coups because the people felt like they had absolutely no way to express their own opinions. When government after government ran fraudulent elections, they changed the constitution. So, you know, I have been a supporter of at least the United States looking at some of these coups differently, because our policy has been that whenever there's been a coup in Africa, well, a coup anywhere, then the United States government immediately cuts off that military government, stops cooperating, and on and on and on. The point I have been making is that the real question is not so much elections, the question is legitimacy. Is the government in place seen as legitimate in the eyes of the people? If the people consider a government legitimate, then we should be dealing with that government. I mean, the Biya regime has done this, I think now 8 times.
Yes.
Is a highly questionable election, followed by Biya being declared the winner. Then there's an uproar. You know, the opposition candidate does various different things. The government will target arrests of opposition supporters or leaders. Then there's a ghost town or a, you know, economic boycott, whatever you want to call it. Then the Biya administration sits tight and, you know, they wait until it's all over. And then Biya is president for another term, and then it starts all over again.
Right. So you were there during...
So they've really mastered your strategy, what goes on in that country. So if a leader emerges, really wants to bring about change, let's see something different. Let's see something different. He has summarized the entire strategy in Cameroon. What do you see Issa Tchiroma doing that tells you things will be different? No, I'm asking you. What have you seen? Tell me what you have seen. Write that in the comment section. What have you seen Issa Tchiroma Bakari doing that tells you something will change? It has to start with the minds of the people. Quit alcohol. Pick a book. Study. Have close circles of young people coming together to discuss on how to shape the policies, the constitution, the laws of this country. When we have that with a vision on what the future of this country will look like in the next 20, 30 years, that is what we have for the United Kingdoms of Tikar. Military strategy will be to guide the vision of the restoration of the civilization of the Tikar people. Military will be to guide this vision. Not that we have military and then we are looking for a vision. We just wanted our southern Cameroons back. Then what? Some wanted to build a socialistic country. Some had all sorts of ideas. We need a vision. Our goal is to take the United Kingdoms of Tikar to a first world nation. In 20 years, once our foundation is established. Great people make a great nation. It will be peace, unity, prosperity, and freedom for all Tikar citizens, not tribesmen citizens of Tikar, that will go on to bless La République du Cameroon and neighboring nations. That is the vision. We will tap into our ancestry, build a first African state based on who we are as Africans. That is the vision. Capacity building will be our priority, not natural resources. That is what has sustained civilizations from antiquity. Capacity building. Great people make a great nation. That is what Tibor Nagy is explaining to Chris Ano. That you, the people, have the power and you deny it.
When Frundi won the elections and you saw Frundi declaring these ghost towns all over the national territory.
Just give me 1 second.
So it's nothing new. There's nothing new. The same old, same old. You see this strategy that I came with? A dream for the people? Martin Luther King stood at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. When he opened up his mouth, he said, I have a dream. I wish Martin Luther King stood on that Lincoln Memorial and said, I will bring down anyone who hates on black people. No, I have a dream. We don't even have a framework about that dream. But the key takeaway from that speech is a dream of a better world. The Cameroon dream, Le Rêve Camerounais. I took time and wrote this book. You put that before Cameroonians and then you know if these are people that are going somewhere. I presented this before individuals here, Francophones, Anglophones alike. I said just those from Bamenda, Northwest, understood what it meant for a country to have a dream. A dream for a nation. That is what I carried. What did Issa Tchiroma present before you? I said just the cover of this book. If you just read just the cover of this book, without even opening the page, without even opening the pages of this book, a white man bought 50 copies instantly. And some Cameroonians come here to debate with me. You hate yourself, so you don't believe that anything good can come out of you. You want only someone from the same regime to show up and tell you, they'll challenge that regime, you believe them. You're looking for connections. That's how you speak everywhere. You want to talk about who you know. I'll never tell you people who I know until you accept a good idea from your own. Oh, it's somebody that knows somebody. Oh, I was with this person. I called this person. I talked with this person. I'm not going to put that before you if that is what you're looking for. But I've talked with some of your ministers initially when we were trying to build this book. That is what you're looking for. Somebody that knows somebody. The Cameroon dream, Le Rêve Camerounais in English and French, a dream for a people that life can be better with them. The Cameroon dream, a dream for your people that the future can be better. If you raise the military on that, you will win. I have a dream. The American dream, the Cameroon dream, Le Rêve Camerounais. That was the dream for these people. They will never see it. We are not compatible. And nothing will work here. Having Anglophones and Francophones teach this way, especially the Tikar people in this, won't work. I've presented a vision, and I know the people that see a good idea when they see one. How to achieve national peace, unity, freedom, and prosperity for all Cameroonians, whether male or female, no matter your gender, no matter the region where you come from. This dream was for everybody. Great people make a great nation. We had it in the back of our mind that capacity building was essential. And so we will build great people who will go on to build a great nation. You never supported that. Come here to play politics and tell me I'm working with CPDM. What kind of garbage didn't you say? And I took it all. I took it in. I remained focused. Today you want to come back and talk about the same union. You just realize yourself now. After you've killed thousands of people, you just realized yourself, and then now you think maybe Issa Tchiroma is the real deal and Biya is the problem. Who are you fooling? I make decisions based on research, not based on emotions or sentiments. You're coming into what I'm living. So how many years will it take you to get here? And what if all of this is a facade to control all of you, including the Amazonians, and you fell for it? Because when people don't know who they are not grounded on their vision, any wind will blow them. Blow you, and you fly in the air. Can't trust that kind of man.
He called for public demonstrations on Sunday. Then now he has called for ghost towns between the 3rd and the 5th. So are you in accordance or in disaccordance with these plans?
Well, this first thing is that calling for a peaceful protest is one thing, and for a peaceful protest to actually take place is completely another. At first, the protests were peaceful. We do not know where these other groups of people came from that hijacked the protest and turned it violent. And at the end of the day, sadly, people lost their lives. And now, calling for another aspect of civil disobedience, which is the ghost towns. I think Tchiroma was among those who castigated and criticized the use of ghost towns when the Anglophone crisis started. And if he has resolved into calling for ghost town, it actually means that even in the midst of their criticism, they knew that the ghost towns was hurting the government. And I guess that is why he has called for it. The truth is, we know that just as people respected the protest, people are obviously going to respect the ghost towns. But the question is, how long are these people willing to keep following these orders?
My people, I'll leave you with this. If you don't understand Cameroon, let me explain to you. This is a post-colonial nation. Most of your presidents have always used the strategy of affiliating themselves with France or other foreign nations to remain relevant before you. It's called celebrity branding. That is, they will tag with France, so that they appear before you as though France has some influence in Cameroon. You've heard the UN Charter. No state has that kind of power legally to dictate what happens in another state. Let's follow the law. You don't only follow that law when you want change, you should also follow that law when you are reasoning, because it doesn't make sense for us to say France has all this power over us, cripple our people mentally. It doesn't make sense. So this is how Cameroon operates. The country has worked well through celebrity branding. And if you would say the country was better under Amadou Ahidjo and the country got worse under President Biya, is it not the same France that is controlling Amadou Ahidjo and controlling Biya based on your ideas? It should be worse under Amadou Ahidjo and worse under Biya if France is the one controlling everything. Why should it be better under Amadou Ahidjo and worse under Biya if we still have France? You see, the logic, alignment is big. We don't have that in our community. And when you are having this conflict internally, when it comes to alignment, brother, you defeat your own purpose on earth. Alignment. Your thoughts must be consistent. So most of our presidents, they thrive on this branding, projecting themselves as though they are associating with some foreign nation. That is the story. Now, in 2013, you realize that with the rise of the Boko Haram insurgency in the north, Israel, France, and America, based on their global agenda to combat terrorism, you've heard about Taliban and other terrorist groups around the world. So they supported the Cameroon government to train the BIRs. The objective was to combat terrorism in the north. That is how the Cameroon military system got strengthened. Now, over the years, they've been using that same military against the people. So America stopped assisting. That country doesn't have a plan. It is a reactionary government, maximum 3 to 4 years or 5 years at most. Plan that they have for this country. They react based on events. They work more on your silence. They work more on your emotions. They work more based on your reactions. They just watch an emotional crowd and you can manipulate that crowd when they are emotional, not logical. And if you start supporting thinkers within your community and follow what they tell you, that government will start being afraid. That is how you offset everything. They don't know how to deal with a crowd that is guided by a thinker. They don't have a plan. If Issa Tchiroma has worked for that government for more than 25 years, if there was a plan, he would have come up with a strategy that shows you that he's working against that government that has a plan. The government itself doesn't have a plan, so he too will definitely not have a plan. And hence, he's repeating everything Maurice Kamto did, what Ninja Mfrunzi did, the same script. So insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That is the definition of insanity. I'll leave you with this. The illiterate of the 21st century are not individuals who cannot read or write. The illiterates of the 21st century are those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. That is why Christ said, unless you become a child again, you will not see the kingdom of God. Born again. You see that just from the spiritual sense of things. No, that you have to empty your head of everything that you've known to see the kingdom of God. To find prosperity, good roads, good schools, jobs. You have to empty your mind. Reverse your idea, just like what Tibo Nage told Chris Ano. That what you've said, the opposite of what you have said is the reality. That is powerful. And in order to achieve the opposite, you need to empty your head of everything that you've known. If the government was good under Amadou Ayijo, bad under Paul Biya, and you still claim that France controls everything, that logic conflicts itself. Alignment. If you listen to the Ambazonian case, the same thing. Confusion just with the story.
The Republic of Cameroon having been revived, our British Southern Cameroon automatically is revived the same minute, the same second. Therefore, please limit the authority of the Republic of Cameroon to its territorial boundaries, which are east of the Mongo. And let us run our lives. Union of the two countries that form united the Republic of Cameroon has been dissolved, and once that union is dissolved, the two countries that formed it become free. And that is why La République de Cameroon, which was no longer existing, came back into force.
2018 marks 160 years of unbroken colonial domination of our homeland. 160 years. British from 1858 to 1887 I'm not counting the earlier years, going back to 1844, when the British concluded treaties with our coastal chiefs. But when they took effective occupation of our coastal land was in 1885, and that territory was named Victoria after Queen Victoria. Then German, we have 160 years of unbroken colonial domination. The British, 1858 to 1887. German, 1888 to 1914. British again, from 1914 to 1961. And since 1961, French Cameroon to this date. This, you would imagine, is a unique concatenation in this African continent.
That was going to precede the legalization of the draft constitution. So the very August, I had to go back to him and remind him about the resumed constitution. When he did not answer me in September, I reminded him. But unfortunately, on 1st of October, I used the draft to declare federation and unification.
In the process of building the Tikar nation, I made sure that the story was clear and that we had alignment. How we migrated from Sudan, Bam, to the Highlands. That story had to be clear. Do you understand? When the Roman Empire was falling apart, this is how Franks found themselves. The British people found themselves. Germany found themselves. As this country is going down, this is how we Tikar people find ourselves. And that is why I said that throne occupied by the funds is not for sale. You can't sell that to a Betty Bulu man and make him funds or funds. Reclaim your sovereignty. There is no union treaty binding you with La Republic of Cameroon. So when that person is telling you that, oh, we are trying to unite now, what are you trying to do? Do you think the world works that way? Some say, oh, no, let's just go with the name Ambazunya. When we get there, we'll know. No. I'm driving, I know I'll have an accident. Let me just crash first and then I'll figure out what is going on. Really? No, stop. Oh, give birth to your child. Don't even name them. Don't name your child when you give birth to them. When they grow old and they turn 18, find a name and give them that time. No, we find a good name that represents that vision, because every story surrounding that name matters for that transformation. Imagine we call somebody like Condoleezza Rice. That is a Tikar woman. Bring her into this vision, and then we tell her we are fighting for Ambazonia. And she said, oh, Ambazonia, what is that? We start explaining. And then she realizes you are talking about a name coming from a place where their forefathers were sold as a slave. Oh, the name doesn't matter. Just tell them the name doesn't matter. This kind of movement, you will have to figure out things all by yourself. No one will come help you. Yeah, we have great minds that might take this nation to the next level, open diplomatic doors, international doors, if you want that, build bilateral relationships that we've never imagined. But again, Tibo Nagi said, it's with the people. You will deny this power. Some think we need heavy military. If we can have 400,000 military men, La Republique du Cameroon has maybe just 50,000 military men. We'll fight them, we'll defeat them, and then we'll set up a new government. My brother, this strategy that you're talking about, where have you seen this work before? Where have you seen this strategy work before? If there's anything, God is looking for few disciplined people to execute on the mission. America is not the most populated country in the world, even till today. Britain was not the most populated country in the world when they became Great Britain. This idea of numbers, because we look at Instagram, Facebook, views are controlling us today. If you have more views, that means you're saying something that makes sense. No, sometimes if you have less views, that means you're saying something that makes sense. Because few people always gravitate towards substance. Even Jesus Christ, Luke 4:12, said the crowd, he said no. Today we believe that we can have a crowd. And if you have all the people, then you are probably doing something right. Nah, that is not how the world is built. Even Apple, Facebook, few people sit down, have a good idea, have structure, and they build. The world catch up later. You get what I'm saying? The world is going to catch up later. So this kind of a united people. Look at Ambazonia. From inception, they didn't have sophisticated weapon. They were united. And they were making waves. When they even had money and the weapon, with division, they went nowhere. Didn't that teach us a lesson? Isn't that something for us to learn? Life will never ever be about weapons. A vision and a united people will always beat individuals with sophisticated weapons. As we unite with the Tikar vision and we are one in spirit, shape our character, be a man that can be trusted. La Republic has nothing. I've explained to you. The only way they got BIR was because they had something in common with Israel, France, and America to combat terrorism. They don't have a plan. You can tell this government doesn't have a plan. It's just that wise people in our community are the people that can play over everybody else. That's wise people. When we really say wise people, you look at it, well, there are always those that can manipulate everybody else. I don't know how we define real people that bring about change in our community. If wise people are individuals like Paul Biya, then I don't know how we define individuals that really bring about change, like coming in with MTN, things that can change the community. How do you call that one? Dumb people? If you call Paul Biya a wise man, how will you call Mark Zuckerberg that brought about Facebook? A dumb man?